It's only a couple of months since we featured the Felixstowe Coastal Patrol Rescue Service collecting money for children in need on Armistice Day. And little could we've known then that barely 3 weeks later that their lifeboat volunteer behind me here would be lying on her side on the A12. With me is John Cresswell, chairman of the service. John, briefly tell me what happened that fateful evening.
Well, we were obviously put on alert for the East Coast flood emergencies on the 5th of December, and we'd been given orders by the Suffolk Resilience Gold Command to move up to a rendezvous point in Saxmundham where they were going to control all the incidents from. That was where there was going to be the greatest perceived loss of life, apparently. So volunteers prepared. We had 3 teams of volunteers, loaded all the equipment into convoy, and had a briefing here at Felixstowe and set off at around 1700, bound for Saxmundham. And unfortunately, as we entered the A12, that just outside Ipswich, we were caught by a massive gust of wind that pushed the trailer across. This is on the A12 approaching the Vauxhall roundabout? Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. That caused us to come into collision with another car in the overtaking lane, and unfortunately, because of the inflation tubes, volunteer bounced away over onto the bank. We recovered, but unfortunately that in turn pushed the Toyota up onto the top of the crash barrier, so there was metal to metal, and we proceeded on for probably about 50 metres until the vehicle came off the crash barrier and inverted. What sort of speed were you doing? Round about, but it was under 50. I think the speedometer stopped at 48 miles an hour. You right? Yeah, carry on. Yeah, okay. Okay, right, well, next bit then. So were there any injuries to your crew? Yeah, they were fairly minor, although you're talking about robust people here. Right. I'm sure if it had been ordinary... Robust vehicles, robust boat, robust crew, not wanting to make much fuss. But obviously we had one gentleman with a broken wrist. The guy who was beside me had neck and head injuries, and I ended up with the muscle torn away from the femur, a broken foot and 5 broken toes. But as you can see, we're all on the mend. We're all on the mend pretty well. You're all on the mend. All right. Yeah. So now that the boat's out of action, what coverage is there for the coast? There is none. There is none. That is the trouble. You know, obviously we've got the RNLI, who are well suited here to cover all these areas. But you know, this year obviously the Coast Guard are going to be closed here at Thames Coast Guard. Watch and search and rescue will follow shortly within the next year, probably if we lucky last another 2. We've just heard also that the Essex Marine Police Unit is thinking of closing down. So all that will be left is the RNLI then? The RNLI, but obviously we're a patrol service, so we're out there all the time. I mean, if you look at Volunteer now in her sorry state, obviously she's I would have said a write-off, although they say they can rebuild it for about £20,000, but she's been around the world 3 times. Just on local patrols and rescues within this area. So your preference would be a new boat rather than attempting to repair her? Well, I think probably from my point of view, looking at the damage based on my experience, I would have thought that overall that would be cheaper for a new boat. Right. So John, what's the financial implication here? Financially, obviously you can appreciate we're fully insured for everything that we do. We have to be. In fact, we're over-insured. But insurance companies, being as they are, obviously the dragging heels at this particular time. Okay. Remember, we're just getting over the Christmas period, New Year period, where nothing's happened at all. So we're left trying to pick up the pieces here at the moment. Financially, the boat's insured. That doesn't cover some of the equipment that was on board. As I say, she's fully insured, but I don't think that's going to personally cover the repairs. Right. We're waiting for the major decision to be made here at the moment. So this is an ongoing story then? But this is yes, certainly an ongoing story, but that leaves us without any cover at all. Well, keep us in touch, John, with how things evolve. And, you know, we're all thinking about you and your crew, and, you know, hope it comes to a proper resolution for the safety of thank you. You know, the people that enjoy the coast. And certainly, I mean, we just want that one major sponsor now to put us back on the feet, and then this will just be a stalling point in our 17 years of history. Well, wish you every success. Thank you. Thank you. Spectacular damage here, John. Yeah, this is where the expensive damage is done. The port sponson here, that's an inflation tube to anybody. It's come away. It's come right away from the boat, so that is a major job because the whole sponson's got to come off to be repaired. That is a specialist job. There's not many companies that can actually do that locally. Then we have the A-frame here. Again, this an A-frame, a navigation arch, which protects the crew, but it also keeps as a base for all the radio aerials, the blue lights, searchlights.
So all the electronics, you've got cables and stuff.
All the electronics have got to be taken away. Yeah, the A-frame's got to completely come off the boat to allow the tubes to be re-established. If you look closely inside the boat, you can see where the A-frame has been torn away from the deck because of the impact. So we've got major fiberglass work to do there.
Damage to the prop, I see.
There's definitely this engine possibly could be a write-off. As you can see, Chris, this is mainly the damaged engine here. There's a bit of cosmetic damage on it, but then we get the serious stuff where the whole container rack here snapped off.
What a mess.
Where the weight of the collision actually occurred. As you can see, the propeller again is badly damaged. Now, just for instance, the propeller is £300. Yeah, this boat. The angle that the engine should be at. Yeah, this is the damaged engine, which is just held on. The whole bracket holding this engine is carried away in two places.
So you've got damage at the front, you've got damage at the stern, the sides have been chafed, and it's just, you know, a lot of, aside from the more dramatic damage to the engine, there's a lot of detail damage.
Absolutely, and this is what we're aware of. There may be other damages, as I say, that comes to light by the specialists as soon as they have a look at it.
Right. This looks like the rear hatch off your Toyota tractor vehicle.
That's exactly what it is, Chris.
Is there anything else left of the vehicle?
No, I'm afraid not.
The only bit you've got?
She's in one piece, and she was able to be driven away from the scene, but she's definitely going to be a write-off because she inverted, as you know, flattened the whole thing. The whole back is missing off the vehicle, hence this door that was hastily thrown on board volunteer at the crash scene. That's why she's here now, not for any other reason. But as you can see, you know, it says quite clearly on there, a marine resource for the Suffolk and Stabbury, but unfortunately no more.
Right, and I gather the trailer's not in such good nick either.
No, the trailer definitely going to be a write-off, no getting away from it at all. Everything's completely snapped. That was a major incident. You know, there's a lot of weight involved, although that was at slow speed, and I'm afraid that the amount of damage, the trailer is definitely going to be beyond repair, which is whatever thing, and the vehicle obviously. So we're left without any facilities whatsoever. If we could suddenly had a new boat, we wouldn't have anything to tow it with. But that's just the way it is. We've now got to rebuild. We've all vowed that this service is not going to fold because for 17 years our hard work has gone in, and we're not going to allow that to finalise. And hopefully we'll
got any potential sponsors on the horizon?
Not any definite sponsors. There's been a few murmurs, but I don't believe in murmurs. I need to have firm evidence, and then we'll all be looking to the future. But meanwhile, we'll do what we can.
Good luck, John.